Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're hailing from. Welcome to OpenShift.tv. I am Chris Short, Principal Technical Marketing Manager at Red Hat. I'm sorry for the echo that's coming through my microphone right now. My TV is a monitor and it's really loud. My bad. I was actually off yesterday. I was laid up after a medical procedure, and I was watching the stream on my TV through my Apple TV. So the volume was rather loud across the office as I sat in my recliner, icing myself. Today, we are joined by two of my fun and favorite friends, Serena Nichols, correct pronunciation and naming this week. I'm glad that Zoom was able to allow you to change your last name finally. Thank you, Zoom. And then Ryan Jarvinen, the one and only, fantastic Ryan Jarvinen. Today, we're going to be talking about what, Serena? Please introduce yourself and, share what we're talking about.
Sure. Hey, my name's Serena Nichols. Well, thanks for having me back on Twitch with the office hour. We're going to be focusing on the OpenShift developer experience as usual. And today we're going to look at a number of the new features that will be coming out in 4.6 and further. So specifically kind of on getting started experience, as well as some of the new improvements and changes that we've made in Topology.
Awesome.
So thanks for having me.
No problem. Ryan, you want to introduce yourself for me real quick, bud?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Ryan Jarvinen. You can find me online most places as Ryan J. To just brief transportation back in time to last week, and I'm not sure if we're going to cover this, but last week we were talking about service binding, and Serena offered to show us some updates in the UI that may go along with service binding. So I'm curious to see if that's on the lineup today. We'll see what we get to. But
we were hoping to, but unfortunately, we're not going to be able to because of the system that I have today.
Had a little bump in the night, did we? A bug?
Yes.
Oh no.
I don't know if it's a bug. Just the operators are not necessarily cooperating with us this morning. So
well, either way, welcome to everyone in the audience. And if you have questions or feedback or thoughts during the show, please drop them into chat, and we'll do our best to answer them.
Yes, and if you drop it into any chat, wherever you are watching from, we will be able to capture it and get it answered. So feel free to drop it in YouTube chat, Facebook chat, or Twitch chat. We can gather them up and get them answered. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, Serena, you've got some screens to share right here.
I do. So let's try to get started here. So I am first going to make sure that I'm sharing the correct screen. Do you see
Looks like a login page.
Logins page.
Yeah,
excellent. So that's great. Okay. So what I'm going to be focusing on in the beginning is just what our onboarding is for new developers, right? So I'm going to log into this cluster as a developer. Whoops, I have to spell it right.
If you can.
And what I want to show you, if it works properly, is that when I come in for the first time, what you'll see is it will bring me directly to that developer perspective, which it did. So I think what we talked about previously is that in previous releases, regardless of who you were, what your role was, what your user ID was, it always initially brought you into the admin perspective. And now this is a change that we've made. And we're hoping that helps with discoverability, awareness, all that kind of stuff going forward. So this is great. You come in, you're immediately brought into the developer perspective, and I'm going to show you that there are a bunch of new things that we have on the ad page as well. So what I'm going to first do is just create a new test project, and we'll see what comes up on my ad page. So we have Serena, a number of.
I just want to interrupt real quick.
Please.
There's a story here. Serena is the person that we say Serena lives in the future. So just to keep in mind, this is for OpenShift 4.6. Yes. So this is subject to change. And, any number of tweaks and things, from what you see today might be different between what actually ends up getting released. So just putting that caveat out there. When you see Serena, remember that Serena lives in the future.
I definitely live in the future. And also, this is our daily build, which is intended for 4.6, but that does not necessarily mean that the features we see today will definitely be released in 4.6 as well. So
I
thank you
just
for
wanted to
reminding
clear
me
that up and make
Good
sure
heads
Probably
that,
up.
should say it a couple more times.
because I'm sure someone's going to ask in chat, is this 4.5, 4.6, 4.4? Where are we on
Right.
the release spectrum here? So let's just nip that in the bud right now.
Yes, thank you. And actually some of the things you see here are pretty cool too, because 2 weeks ago we did have Jay do a demo on serverless and eventing, which was awesome. And so you can see some of those things are here as well, right? We've got the event sourcing and the channel stuff that he had demoed last time. But like I said, like I mentioned earlier, one of the things I want to focus on today is kind of around our getting started experience. So we have these new things called quick starts. I think, oh boy, this worked really nicely the other day. I mean, when I tried it a little bit ago, but it looks like we're having a problem with the icon. Let's see. Watch this.
It might just work.
I don't think so. I think, let me
almost.
stop sharing.
So
Let me see.
close.
I
It's
am
not
going
because you're
to
like
go
doing any
over.
font size increase or anything, is it?
No, I think
Okay.
I hate to know what I think it is.
Okay.
Can you see quick starts again over here? I'm going to switch my screen.
Yep.
I am now cluster admin, and for some reason I can see the icon. So we just uncovered a little bug, which is okay.
This is what we do on this channel. We find bugs.
Yes,
what was it? Last Friday, we filed a bug live on air. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So let's see. I am going to, I had tried this previously as cluster admin. So it says that it was in progress, but I'm going to just say, hey, I want to restart this tour. I want to import an application and associate a pipeline with it. Okay. So here is my quick start. I'm going to hit restart the tour. So it kind of tells me for each one of these quick starts, what I'm going to be able to do. I'm going to create an application from Git, explore my application, and explore my pipeline run. So if I say start the tour, it tells me, okay, go to the developer perspective, go to the add page, create a new project. So new project for Twitch. And now I'm going to go to import from Git. I'm going to create an application. I'm going to take that Django application. I have that already saved in my browser history there. And what I'm going to do is in the pipeline section where I scroll down below, it's telling me to click the checkbox to add a pipeline to my application. So I'm going to do that and I hit create. Now I can say, okay, to check my work, look, momentarily you're going to be brought to Topology. Here I am. And it asks if there's an application in deployment that's named Django Exp Git. And there is. So I'm going to say next. So now, let's see. Now I'm going to explore my application in Topology. I'm going to click on the deployment. And when I do that, I see a side panel. You can see now I've got a lot of stuff on this screen. I can just hit this hamburger menu up on the top and make my navigation kind of go away. So I have a little bit more room for anybody who wants to do that. And what I'll do here is just kind of look at the resources section where it tells me what I have going on. I've got related pods, related builds, related pipeline runs, services and routes. So again, it just asks me to make sure that there's a pipeline named Django Exp Git. It's there. So I hit next. And now just kind of telling me, let's kind of look and click on the pipeline link that should bring me to the pipeline details page, which it does. And here you can see I have a visualization that has the pipeline run status. So if I hover over and call these things pills, I'm not sure that's the best thing to call them, but the pills in the visualization represent the tasks in the pipeline. So if I hover over a task, I can see each of the steps associated with it. So there's build and there's deploy. If I now go over here to the action menu and click start, what you'll see is it will automatically move me to the pipeline run page. And I'll get to see these tasks and their associated steps kind of live in progress.
Slick.
which is very fun.
That is very slick.
Yes. So, again, there's some more information down here around checking your work. And this is kind of trying to just step you through that process if you don't know it, trying to get you to learn how things work. So I can also click on the logs tab here and see the details of that run as well. Can go back over to the details and be like, oh, okay, well, still running. And this is the time where we're going to sit here and chat a little bit to see some of the status go by.
See, Eric, this is when we want background music.
So this is actually we're demoing we're demoing kind of two things here. There's updated pipeline UI with these kind of subtasks going on, but also this new tutorials right hand frame, right? Or quick starts.
We're calling them quick starts.
Quick starts is the word. Yeah. So that's a really cool. I have heard rumors from the future, but since I'm at Red Hat, but this is really cool getting to see this instructional material kind of lined up on the right. And I'm assuming that this is maybe what a architect or team lead might populate in order to help people get started, or more appropriately, maybe we're doing it first off. But these quick starts, are they something that people can customize and upload eventually, or is
so
it
that would
more
be
of a
even
Red Hat thing
past
for now?
Serena's future? But
Oh,
yes.
okay. All right.
So initially, what we're anticipating initially is that we are going to ship a number of quick starts, a couple to how do you install serverless, how do you install pipelines, then how might you create a serverless application, how do you add a pipeline to an application, and let's see, this is not being great. And then we're going to have a couple others around building applications. But then in the future, what we're going to have is more of an extensible model where operators can provide their own quick starts, and even having some CRD extensions so that you can possibly do it. Like you're saying, in the future, there might be a way for an admin to provide that. Yeah.
Early days still.
So we are at the very early stages, but still pretty cool, right? So there we go. Finally. So now we've looked here, and what you can see is when the pipeline run is complete, you can even see that up here on the page title, we now have a succeeded status, right? Or a badge up there. So you know that it's complete.
It's a good question in chat.
Yes.
If you want to take it real quick, can I check the quick start output into Git for my project? So what is all the artifacts from this quick start? Like, are they collected somewhere where people can save them? So if they have to stand their project up brand new on a new cluster somewhere, where can they?
No, but it is interesting that that question was asked, because there is something in the backlog, which PMs always do say that, but it is something in the backlog that we've been talking about quite a bit in the last couple of weeks around how can you export your application. It's not necessarily tied with the quick start itself, but how can I export my application into Git?
It would be after the quick start. Yeah.
And then I can later re-import that.
Yes. So that is definitely, James Casella is interested in that feature.
Yeah. That's great.
I would be too, because if I'm on OpenShift, I'm on OpenShift for a while. So I would, in theory, have clusters potentially popping up in the future in other places potentially. So I would definitely want to be able to have some kind of way to export this and shift it over.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, so when I'm done with that, I can always go back and access, more quick starts if I wanted to through the help menu. There's a quick start link there that brings me back to that page if I wanted to go take more. But what you can see now is that's the one I just did, and it now says complete. So it's kind of nice to be able to, and again, in the future, we're thinking about, is there a way to say, oh, show me all of the quick starts I have not yet started or haven't tried yet, things like that. But but it's a pretty cool feature that we are hoping that enables people to start understanding some of the functionality that we are offering here. So let's see. The next thing I wanted to do here is look what we can do with samples. So I think last time we were here, I kind of showed an animated GIF around this a little bit, but I did want to go through this a little bit again. So this is kind of somebody who's brand new who might want to kick the tires and see what's going on with samples. So this is, you don't have to have your own code or anything at all, right? I'm just going to come in and say, hey, I want to create a Node.js sample. Everything's given to me by default. I just hit create. And what happens in here, which is kind of neat, is it creates an application that's literally called sample app. And it puts that Node.js deployment inside there for me. And if I wanted to add another one, what's really kind of cool is I think we might have talked about this in the past, but we do have, let's see, we do have the ability to go back, add more samples. That I just uncovered another bug, so I'm not going to show that flow. If I can come back here and say, okay, I want to create a sample Perl app and hit create, and what it does is, again, it puts all of my sample apps in that same sample application. So if I want to then delete it later on, I can. But this is a nice way, again, like I mentioned, just be able to kind of kick the tires, come in and see, how do I deploy a sample app? And then what, is there other details I might want to look at around that kind of thing? So we're hoping that those samples kind of help again for the onboarding. So let's see, the next thing is around importing from Git. So I think we all know probably that you can do this already. So this is what I'm going to show. There is a right-click menu that you can use kind of anywhere, right? Like if I'm over the canvas that there's no nodes, if I do right-click, I just get something that's going to put it right side, it won't be in context, but if I wanted to do something in context, I can also click on an item and do right click, and then I get in context menus. So here I'm just going to hit control right click, do add to project from Git. And what I wanted to show here was what we're typically doing here, right, is when you put in your Git repo, it does an auto detection of what builder image to be used. That builder image, or the icon that's associated with that builder image, is then used in Topology. So I'm kind of building this up a little bit to show what's going to happen in the future and how it differs from deploy image. But for this example, let's just say, okay, I do an import from Git, and for some reason I decide not to add a route by default. This is a question. This is questions that have come up in the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to show how you can kind of rectify that after the fact. So here's my Node.js deployment. And what I can do, you can see that there's no route indicator up here on the top right-hand side. So what I can do is I can, again, either select this item and see the actions menu on the right-hand side, or I could do the right-click menu. But what I can see here is that there is something called edit with the name of that resource. So there's an edit Node.js exgit, right? That matches the name of the node here. If I click on that, what that will do is it will bring me back to that form-based, a form-based edit. So now I come back into that import from Git flow, and what I can do is I can, click, hey, now I want to add a route. So create a route for this for me. And as soon as I hit save, there you go. It's available immediately. So this is one of the questions that has come up quite a bit lately, is that, is there an ability for me to add a route to something that already exists? Is there a way for me to maybe change some of my advanced options? So I'll show you that as well. So if I go back again and say edit Node.js exgit, brings me back to that form, kind of go down. Let me go down to, actually, let me cancel for a second. I'm going to switch back over to pod count. Ooh,
it looked like on this edit screen, the edit screen you were just on had the ability to select the base image. Is that something that makes sense to swap out the base image?
I think you can, this one here,
Yeah.
You can change the image version, and we have been told
Oh,
that
okay.
that is something that people would want to do. Does that make
That would
sense?
totally make sense. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And I could even maybe see going from like Node.js to the static web image, depending.
Right.
Although that was like, I was surprised to see this here, but yeah, that definitely
Yeah.
makes sense for switching between no runtime versions.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Awesome. And I think the other reason, one of the reasons we left the builder image selection is that, like, if for whatever reason the one you selected didn't work, you could come back in and just change that builder image, right? And then possibly make it work properly afterwards.
You could test out the same thing with something that's like UBI based or Alpine based, or if you were sophisticated enough, have more base images. This is having the multiple runtime versions available is super cool.
Okay, cool. So the other thing I was just going to show, like just another example is, okay, what if I wanted to change my scaling options and I had initially took the default, which was 1, I want to switch it to 3, I hit save. And again, immediately you'll see that thing automatically scales up to 3. And now that it's set to 3. So there are shortcuts with the form-based edit. And again, it is there's quite a few of these edit commands, but just to note, the one that says edit and it's the name of your resource is what will bring you back to the form. If I say edit deployment, it's gonna bring me right to YAML. So you YAML lovers, go for it. Ones who don't, make sure you say edit with the resource name and you'll get back to that form. Okay,
if you're
so
a legit YAML lover, we need to talk.
yeah. Well, I've heard a few people who say they like it.
I know people that prefer like visualizing it in YAML, but I can't honestly say they like YAML, the spec, right? Like,
yeah.
Anyways.
Okay. So the next thing I want to show is just a small change that we've made to deploying an image, but it's pretty cool, I think. I think we've showed this in the past where you can change the icon that's associated with something through labels, but now what we've done is we're offering that through a form as well. So I'm going to take a Quarkus image here. And what you see now is this new runtime icon section. So by default, when you do a deploy image, we're always providing that OpenShift icon. What this allows me now to do is it gives me a list of predefined icons. So you're still limited to a set, but I can type in here and say, oh, is Quarkus here? Yes, it is. I'm going to select Quarkus. And I'm going to also make this a Knative service, being like really trying to test things, and let's see what happens. So what you would assume now that's going to happen is, let's see, fit to screen. My Knative service is starting to be created, and there we go. There's my revision. It's got the Quarkus logo in there already. So very cool. I wonder, I did not try this, but let's give it a try. Why not go on the edge? So what if I just do hello OpenShift? I start with a OpenShift logo. And where am I? Here I am. I'm really testing fate here. Let's do edit hello OpenShift and say, oh, I want to use, I don't know, let's say Beaker. And boom, works nicely. So again, a nice, easier way to do it than updating the labels. I know this might be something, some people might say this is something more that people would want to use like for a demo, but not necessarily, right? Because if you're creating an application and you want other people who you're sharing that app with to have more insight as to what it is, that I would assume that that icon's pretty helpful. Okay, so we've got quite a few things going on here. And like my goal is to be building up what's in this project, not necessarily to have a working application, but more to have a bunch of things in the project so I can then show you what's going on in topology. So I'm going to kind of quickly go over to the Helm chart area and add a couple more Helm charts.
Add
And
all the things.
yes. So let's go here. We've got what this is going to show you very quickly. I think we might have gone over this before too, is that If there's multiple versions of the same chart, you have access here in the chart version drop down. I'm just going to install this guy super quick. So I have one Helm chart that will appear in Topology, and there it is. Now I'm going to add another one. So I'm going to use my, let's see, can I go to from catalog and then go to Helm charts? Look at that. I can do that too if I want.
Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting one. So this Helm chart, when I try to install it, is going to give me an error. And when I hit install, it says, hey, you failed to install it because you have to accept the license.
Oh.
Now,
how do you do that?
What's pretty cool is I can go into YAML.
Oh.
If I am so inclined and can find it properly. There is a license section right there. And if I change that to true and hit install again,
the YAML version of the OK button.
Oh no. What does this say?
What does that mean? Oh, hang on.
Oh. I've already, this is really interesting. I already installed this Helm chart into Twitch test namespace.
Can you change the chart number or chart version number or something? You may need to increment.
Yeah.
Since you're changing the chart.
Where do you think I would do that?
I don't know. I'm not sure where that is.
Scroll down a little.
Oh, was it near the top?
Plugin build, driver build. Okay, no.
Down
sorry.
right below driver. I thought I saw some stuff below this image section, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, keep going.
That's just plugin.
Yeah.
Driver build. No, different numbers. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. I don't know Helm charts
Darn it.
that well.
You know
I wish there was a way
do?
to just force it to say.
Let's see if we can cheat on this one.
You might be able to.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to Twitch test. I'm going to go to project. I'm going to delete this project. See if that helps.
Yeah.
And because, since let's go back to, where did I say?
Turning it off and on again. Always a useful tactic.
It never fails.
Yeah.
It never fails.
Terminating that project. Let's see if it actually happens. We'll go back to
off
here. Let's see. We'll try it one more time just for the heck of it. Helm chart. Install.
Change to true.
True.
That looks like proc.
Oh, darn it. No good.
It just hasn't deleted yet. No,
okay.
No.
All right. Well, we're not going to be able to. That's okay. Yeah. One more thing I'm going to do is
we could try it in a separate project, but yeah, go ahead and move on if
yeah. We'll come back and see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to add an operator backed database, and let's see if we can do that super quick as well, just to go on with my topology example. So this is Percona Mongo database, form view, super easy, hit create, and let's see, there it is. So
operators.
Let's see, let's try this one more time. Let's go back over. Oh, it looks like it's been deleted.
Okay, good.
So we will do the test one more time. Helm chart. It's either 3 times a charm or we're out.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Or strike out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
all right, we're out.
All right, we're all right. That's okay.
Oh, it's a new. Okay. It was in here too. So it gave it the new error with just the new namespace. That's weird.
Interesting.
Oh.
No, and we don't have that. So
no, whatever. Weird.
Okay.
Huh.
All right. Well, sorry about that, but as usual, when I'm demoing, it's not a good demo unless I fail with something.
It's never a good demo unless something breaks.
Yeah, unless you learn something new, then.
And we're really on the cutting edge here with working off the daily build. So it's all good stuff, though. Okay, so what I wanted to show next was what we are doing in Topology, which is we are trying to kind of provide parity between the graphical topology view and the list topology view. So don't know if you guys are all aware, but there is a little icon up here on the top right that shows me that I can go over and switch to go to the list view.
I didn't know that.
Oh, ooh, see,
Oh my
learn
gosh.
something new every day.
Well, I like that.
So,
Might
and
actually
there's,
help me.
yeah. So I don't know if people remember in OpenShift 3.x, there was something called a project overview.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this kind of started with that type of format of a view and has evolved, I would say, going forward. So now what we do think, so I'll show you an example. If I have this Perl sample deployment selected and I've got the side panel here, hypothetically, if I click on list view, I should still see Perl sample selected with the selection on the right-hand side. So we're remembering context as we flip that back and forth. In addition to that, we're also sharing all of the filter capabilities between the two views. So if I go back over to the list view and say, okay, I only want to show, and this is why I was trying to get more than one Helm release, I only want to show Helm releases. So there we go. I'm just showing a single Helm release. If I go over to the list view now, you'll also only see the single Helm release, right? So we're, again, trying to provide parity between those two things. We also have a number of other features that we have in here. So we've got, I can continue to add more things here. I also want to show my operator-backed Percona database. Or maybe I also want to show my Knative service as well. So we can show all those kind of things. And then if I want to clear those filters, I'll do this. I think one of the other things which is nice about being able to switch back and forth is even if I did something like a find, so say I'm going to use that Perl sample as an example again, right? What you can see here is it highlights it with kind of like that orange treatment. If I switch over to the list view, it's doing the same thing for me. One of the things I think would be nice to get feedback on here is that typically when we've been in a list view and we do kind of like this find / search type of capability, instead of doing a highlight, we've been limiting what you show and only show the matches. This is a bit of a different approach, and it would be interesting to hear if people have any feedback, hear any of that feedback in the chat. So let's see, I'm going to clear that now. I'm going to go back over to topology again. And now I'm just going to really quickly show that we do have a couple of different modes, I would say, in topology overall. This kind of basic mode that we start with is if you hit display options, we have show groups, right? So when you're showing groups, it's kind of showing the composition of your application, both on how it's managed and how it's connected. So I'm going to give the example, like I know that service binding right now is not working for us, but if I create a couple of visual connectors at least, what you'll see here, like pretend some of these are service binding connectors as well, right? Where I'm able to show how things are connected. Actually, this is interesting. Let me see. Ooh. Don't know what happened there. I'm also going to try to create a event source really quickly to see if we can get this to work as well. So hit event source. Let's do a ping source. Let's just say this message is from ping source. I'm going to just give the default 5 stars for my schedule. And I'm going to sync to that Knative service and hit create. So again, now you can see, right? I've got a visual connector here. I've got a sync connector here. When I have my my mode is showing groups, I see all those connections, and I'm seeing everything as they're connected to each other. So the revision is part of the Knative service. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit, and I can see that things are inside of my application. If I wanted to shut groups off, what I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to be able to focus on the components consuming resources, not necessarily around how the application is all connected. So if I hit this button and say show groups off, what you're seeing is everything just flat. You're no longer seeing the connections between workloads. You're no longer seeing if it belongs to a Knative service or an operator, if it was created by an operator or even a Helm chart. And what's interesting is we're trying to figure out how valuable that is in this graphical view versus in the list view. Because in the list view, what's nice right now is that, hey, now I can see all of the deployments, whether they're associated with an event source, whether they're part of a Knative service, et cetera. I'm able to see everything flat and all the resources that are a component's consuming resources. And again, if I switch back over to show groups, what you'll see here is that things are now kind of grouped by I'm part of a Knative service or I'm part of a Helm release. So there's quite a lot of difference between those two modes. And we are expecting that you might utilize the two modes differently based on what your use cases are. So I am going to stop there and see if there's any questions from you guys, Ryan, Chris.
Let's see.
Or if there was anything in the chat yet.
Are these sessions recorded publicly? Yes. The Twitch video archives last for 60 days and they will roll off, but they will forever be entrenched on YouTube and Facebook. So they'll be there forever.
Awesome.
So yeah, there's that. So let's see, Ryan, you had some cool comments, right? Like talking about the filters and everything else.
Yeah, well, hey, first off, I wanted to throw in this sound effect that I had queued up for Serena. This is super, super cool. I love the toggle button, being able to swap back and forth between that topology view and the list view. And have the context stick when I do it is super, super useful. I hadn't seen that before, so that was super impressive. And I have attended meetings from the future, so I have seen this previews of the filtering before, but this is super, super useful when you're trying to conceptualize all the differences between all these different resources that are floating around in the Kubernetes space that you're trying to conceptualize all in your head. And you have things like application groupings and Helm releases and serverless Tecton backed things and service, all of these different things. And we started off with earlier versions of OpenShift. We just showed standard Kubernetes resources, and things have evolved to such an extent, it's almost hard to know where to go or what to focus on. And this set of filtering gives me the way to, if my particular shop is really keen on using Tecton because that's how they are currently deriving their productivity, or if they're really keen on serverless, or if they're really keen on operator backed or Helm charts, any of the above, I can make filters to stay focused, but still play around with the other ways of finding productivity, and hopefully discover something that's optimal for my use cases and something that's easy for me to recommend to other folks on the team. So I love the new filters and ability to help focus my attention as I'm trying to keep all of this in my brain. So that's really great. Thanks for showing this off.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Yeah, and there's a couple other things too. Let me just show you. So don't forget about the application selector, right, in that secondary bar. So I can always say, hey, I'm really only concerned with Django, this Django application. So I can select that there. So I'm just able to focus on that. I have not tried it, but let's quickly pop over. Ooh. Yep, looks like we're doing the same thing. Yes, it's only showing me the things in Django X. So that's great.
Cool.
Now I'm going to go back to all applications. And the other feature that I forgot to show you guys is underneath that display options, we do have this expand capability, right? So I can say, I want to collapse everything. And what this is going to do is show me like a summary of all of the the groupings that I have. So I have a sample app. I have an application called sample app with 2 deployments. I have another application with a Knative service and 2 deployments. And then I have a standalone Helm release and a standalone operator back service. And those are the contents of it, which is kind of cool. So again, there's different levels of, I can say, oh, expand everything again, but just collapse Knative service, my Knative services. That might not be as important when you only have a single revision, but if you got a bunch of revisions, it might be kind of nice to see that collapsed at times. But those are some of the other features. And now don't forget, if I collapse things here and pop back over to the list view, you'll also see that I've got that collapsed here as well. So I can see this application has 2 deployments and a Knative service, etc.
There is a question in chat.
Sure.
If you can go back to the all app view, how you created the
Yes.
Java projects and how they're all combined in here. I didn't notice anything Java. Is there Java bits in here that I missed? I must have. Someone thought they saw Java. But if you want to create a Java project in here, how would you do that? I guess is a good question, right? Like just add your from Git.
You can import a Git repo, and
Or
I'd assume the builder image would be Java.
right.
True.
Yeah. And that's how you would just add that into your topology view for that namespace.
That's if you want the builds to be run on the cluster, that's a great way to get it done. Another way to get it done, you could start using something like Odo if you have a local repo or a thick IDE that's on your laptop that is really critical to your productivity. You could sometimes use IDE plugins in order to push your jar files or ear files or whatnot, your binary artifacts. So we definitely have workflows for that as well. But I think by default, you're going to get a kind of build from a Git repo and do the build on the cluster is usually our default for Java.
From inside the console, yeah. And nice. I think it was about a month ago that we had Mohit had done some of the demos with the IDE plugins. And that might not be another, we might want to have him come on again, because I think there's a lot more functionality that exists that he didn't show that day as well. We might want to have a follow on.
Yeah, that might
in conjunction with Odo too.
It might just be a good idea just from like a feature perspective, right? Like what we've added on.
Definitely.
So Steve kind of dropped a softball in chat here for you, Serena. Quick starts can't be customized yet as far as hiding them and unhiding them as planned for 4.6, but that is almost number 1 on the list to do next. Maybe Serena has more info.
Yes. Maybe Serena has more info. Yes. Okay. So right, like I mentioned before, as planned, at this moment, we think that what is coming in 4.6 will be shipped with the console, and there will be no way to kind of hide those.
No way to expand it, but possibly a way to hide it. Is that what Steve's hinting at?
Yeah. So Stuart wanted the ability to like have it in training clusters and not have it in other clusters.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Which I thought was an interesting concept, right? Like,
just so put it behind a feature flag. Yeah.
Right.
That's a great thing. Yeah. That's a good suggestion. I don't know that we have that feature flag set for 4.6, but that's something that we can bring back and see if there's a way that we might be able to do that. I do know post 4.6, there are, like I mentioned earlier, there are ways that we're talking about how do we contribute additional ones? How can you not show others? The other thing right now for 4.6, in this build environment today, even as a developer, I'm also going to see the ones that are about operator installs. And we're trying to figure out if there's a way that we can hide those ones. So if you don't have access to Operator Hub, let's try not to show them inside the console. And I know that I think in post 4.7, that will be all taken care of. The question is, can we get that taken care of in Serena's 4.6 future? We'll have to see.
Yeah. I mean, it's a matter of time, right?
Yeah.
I think is what it is, right? Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there
Sorry, go
another
ahead.
question? I was going to jump topics, but if
Oh,
there's
go
other
ahead.
questions,
No, please
let's
do.
do it.
There's some questions about Quarkus that we're handling. So yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. There's just a couple of other things that I did want to show. Let's see if I'm going to be able to find it. Let's see. I am going to look for all of my, let's see. I'm going to search all of my pipelines. Pipeline runs. Oh, I don't have a failure. I was hoping to see a failure here, but I don't see one, so I won't be able to do it. All right, so instead what I'm going to do is this. If this is a question for people watching, but if nobody is able to answer, maybe we could just talk through it between the two of us, the three of us rather, which is if I was to share a URL of the topology view with a coworker, would you assume that it would automatically show up in context of the developer console? So let me show you what happens. So I am copying this URL. What happens is with our URLs, we do not show which perspective you are in. So we don't save that data inside the URL, or it's not part of the URL today. So if I just copied that, right? So if I come over here and I go to admin and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go look at the Explore view. And now I'm just going to go back and I'm going to paste that URL. I will see topology, but it's in context of the administrator perspective, because that was the perspective I had set when I put the new link in. So it's really important, I think, for us to try to understand from users and advocates on what the expectations would be from when sharing URLs. And would you expect that if you took a link from topology when you're in developer perspective, if you shared that with somebody, they would be brought to the appropriate perspective as well? So I don't know if you guys have opinions on that, or pros or cons if we took one approach or the other, but might be kind of interesting to chat about.
Yeah, I would love that sharing of URLs to be something that's easily done. I know it seems to me like that use case isn't necessarily something that generally works for most people in the Kubernetes world. A lot of folks all have their own cluster and aren't sharing clusters with other teammates. So it's kind of a unique thing to OpenShift clusters a bit, that you would even expect to have the same project or access to a shared project. But I love the idea. I would probably add a query string element like James Castle said, fragment. So you could do # view equals top for topology view, something like that. That's a minor part of the URL that, that'd be my my take on it. But yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, that's good to know. Thanks for your input there. With that, I'm trying to think. I don't think we have a ton more for me to be able to show today. I think in 2 weeks, I'm hoping that we can do the service binding piece. And also, we've been working on a new GitOps view, which is kind of a dev preview of some of the GitOps work that we're looking at for 4.6/future. And if the system is willing, we'll definitely be bringing on a couple of our developers to help share where that's going. So I guess I'm gonna step back again and thank my the UI development team, specifically Jay and Vikram and Rohit, for getting the system ready for me, because about an hour and a half ago we didn't have much to demo on. So thanks for the applause.
Wow. Yeah,
I feel like I'm at a Red Sox game with nobody in the stands.
Well, we actually had a pretty good turnout today. It looks like
we
I'm
did.
looking at 80 folks currently, according to Twitch. So thank you all in the audience, definitely for bringing your questions and your energy. And we plan on being here every week at 11 a.m. So come back with further questions, topics. If there's other things that you want to see on the stream, let us know. Throw it in chat. Serena's got some feedback forms that we'd love to get your perspective on things.
Yeah, please take Serena's survey, all 98 of you that are online right now, between all 3 services we're streaming to.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely want to make sure that, you know, this office hour continues to be helpful. It's as well, like the more feedback we get from you, the better off our product's going to be. And I know without the ability for you guys to be able to talk to us, it's a little bit more difficult, but utilizing chat and the surveys and, well, this online forum, but I think, Chris, we might have a goal to try to have a live survey next time, right?
That is the goal. So yeah, I just mentioned in our streaming Slack channel that some of the polling features in Twitch are a little limited. I'll just say, right, like there's text limitations and some time limitations I don't necessarily like. So there are third-party services out there. We'll get some polling and some survey stuff going. Just give me the right amount of time to find it. We'll get it going. But we can run some really simple polls right now with Twitch, no problem. But I would want a little bit more. Like the time limit is only 10 minutes, right? Like I'd want to run multiple polls, like potentially throughout the entire stream, right? Like so having some kind of external tool to do that would be cool. So yeah, that's just my thing. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining us. Come back at the top of the hour for OpenShift Commons briefing. We will be having DevOps at the Speed of Architecture with Eric Minnick and a few other folks from IBM and Red Hat, including the one and only Brian Gracely, friend of mine from Red Hat. So yeah, that'll be fun. So yeah, come back in about 7 minutes and we'll see you then. Thank you, Serena. Everybody. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Take
Have
care.
a great one, everybody.
Thanks all. See you next time.